Welcome, everyone. This is Michael Gibbs, and I'm the founder and CEO of Go Cloud Careers. And I'm here today to help you build your best cloud computing career. Perhaps you're looking for your first solution architect job, or your first cloud architect job, or your first enterprise architect job, your first cloud engineer job, or your tech career in general. Whatever the case is, I want to help you either get your first tech job or get promoted in tech, which is something I've been doing now for a very long time. I've been working in technology since, well, 25 years now, and I've been helping others get their first tech job or get promoted in tech for more than 2 decades. And I want to help you get cloud hired or cloud promoted. I've been doing it my whole life. The reason we're here is we know the shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line. I found so many people that have zigzagged through their careers and either never get to their goals or they take decades to get to places where we've got people to get to in a year or so. So I want to help you build your best career. And that's why I'm here, so I can answer any questions. So if you desire to be a cloud architect, ask me how. If you desire to be a solution architect, ask me how. You want to know how to transition careers? Ask me how. That's why we do what we do. And I know many of you were with us late last night. We had a really fun show last night talking about the hottest tech jobs and the tech careers of the future. If you haven't caught it, do catch that. I think you'll like it. But I'm glad that you guys are here again this morning. So before we begin, I want to let you know about some special things we have going on for the community and then ask us your questions. Tomorrow, we have a completely free How to Get Your First Cloud Engineer webinar, and it's going to be so much fun. We'll have people come from all over the world to this webinar. And I'll go over the following. I'll show you how you can leverage your life experience to show the hiring managers you're still ready for the job, even if you've worked in a different career. I will show you and tell you exactly what the hiring managers are looking for. I will tell you exactly what you need to learn. I will show you exactly how to tune your resume to get so you can bypass HR and get seen directly by the hiring managers. And I'll tell you how to get hired. And I'm going to do that completely free. So if you desire to be a cloud engineer, join us tomorrow on the free Cloud Engineer Career webinar. The link to sign up is in the description below and the chat box. And while we're at it on Friday, I'm going to do a practice interview session on many of you completely free. You'll be able to do two things. Observe proper interviews so you know how to prepare for them. See what your competition is, and you'll know if you're ready to get hired. You'll immediately know this by the time you're done our webinar, so I'd love you to join us. Again, completely free on Friday. It's going to be for 4 hours, this interview session. Now, the average Go Cloud career student's biggest problem while they're going through the program is actually telling recruiters, I'm not ready for the job yet, because our LinkedIn and resume work is so good. If you want to be like our students, we have a very inexpensive LinkedIn and resume workshop where we'll show you how to get your resume seen. The things that employers need to see to want to bring you in for the interview. The things to put on your resume to guide the interview you or to interview you on the things that are your strengths. And it's going to be a great time. My students love it every time I do it in class because they get bombarded with recruiters. And the biggest challenge they have is saying, I'm not looking for a change yet, but soon I will be. So highly recommend it. And if you're looking to get your first cloud architect job or your first cloud engineer job, I recommend either our cloud architect career development program if you want to become a cloud architect, or our cloud engineer career development program if you want to become a cloud engineer. Now at this point, let's open it up for some questions because I want to help you all build your best cloud computing careers. Ask your questions in the chat box. While you're asking your questions in the chat box, tell me the career you want with a hashtag cloud architect or a hashtag solution architect or a hashtag cloud engineer. And also tell me where you're from. I'm in South Florida right now, specifically Port St. Lucie, but where are you? Eddie Patrick's good morning, Cloud Hired. It's so good to see you. Alonzo Coleman, yes, please hit that like button and subscribe and hit the bell too, because we have a lot more YouTube videos coming your way. Mashaba, hey, Mashaba, it's so good to see you. If you're in the Mashaba, I think you are over there in South Africa. It's wonderful to see you. Good afternoon. And if you're not that Mashaba, good afternoon too, or good morning, depending where you're at. Kid 90s music. Hey, you know what? Kind of love 90s music. Personally, I'm still stuck in the 80s. That's me. But, love 90s music too. Great title. Security architect from Houston, Texas. I love that, Colizo. Fantastic. Rosales, hello, aspiring to become a cloud engineer in the Philippines. That's fantastic. Good for you. Love those palm trees behind you in that photo too. Here to win. Hey, Mike, what are your thoughts about cloud jobs in a recession? Well, let's face it, we are in a recession. We've had our two negative quarters of negative GDP growth, and it's negative GDP growth in terms of nominal dollars. And when we actually factor in, real GDP after adjusting for inflation, it's a pretty big decrease. So, we're in a pretty substantial recession as it stands right now, and yet our students are still getting hired every day, and you can too. So here's the thing. There are many jobs. Some jobs are great in recessions and some jobs are terrible in recessions. Cloud architect jobs are fantastic in a recession, and here's the reason why. The cloud, all in all, is generally cheaper than the data center, generally speaking. Cloud architects are people that generally operate in a pre-sales environment and transform the business, meaning make the business more profitable, higher employee productivity so they can do more with less people, so the cloud can help people cut expenses, that kind in general. So generally speaking, the cloud architects are good in a recession. And here's the other reason that architects and sales reps are good in a recession. For those of us that work pre-sales, whether it's at Amazon or Microsoft or Google or IBM or any of these other great cloud providers, Nutanix, what doesn't matter, there's lots of them. We architects go to the client, we ask about their business, and we sell them a solution, so we bring in money. The architects in recession, fantastic. Now, engineering jobs in a recession are usually a little more weak. Having said that, if the cloud architects like me design the solution, and the cloud engineers build the solution, I still feel the cloud engineers are going to be really good in a recession for the following reasons. They are building the things that are going to make it cheaper for organizations. So that should still thrive in a recession. Same thing for DevOps engineers. We don't teach DevOps engineers, but DevOps engineers, you have one DevOps engineer that can replace 10 cloud admins or 50 cloud admins. Great person to have in a recession. Now, software developers, that's not a place where I'd want to be, because those jobs are going to get outsourced to some place where it's going to be much cheaper to hire highly qualified people. I wouldn't want to be in any software development job. I would not want to be in any sysops or maintenance role. Those jobs are, realistically speaking, not only the lowest paying, but they're the kind of jobs you cut in a recession because they're back end and they're considered expenses. So I wouldn't want to be there. And some of those other back end positions I really wouldn't want to be in. So don't love the concept of being in support. Don't love the concept of doing the cloud admin stuff. All that stuff's going to get outsourced to cheaper places. So I still think there's great cloud jobs. I still think the cloud architect is the best in a recession because we bring in money to organizations for the most part. And when you bring in money, you don't get laid off in a recession. They may even hire more of you. So love that. Cloud engineer, I still think is safe. At some point, not for the short term, those cloud engineer roles, I think, will be outsourced to less expensive parts of the world because it doesn't matter where you're doing your engineering. Where the architect, for the most part, it does. You've got to meet with the client. DevOps engineer, again, same thing. I think it's good. At some point, that'll be outsourced, but I feel like there's a shortage of qualified DevOps engineers, so they've got a couple of years of safety. But wouldn't want to be a programmer. Wouldn't want to be a cloud admin. Wouldn't be a sysops person. Those are the kind of jobs that really get cut in a recession. Great question here to win. So what I want you to think about is as follows. In a recession, employers have less income as a general rule because people have less money to buy. And if they have less money to buy, employers have less money to pay their employees. So I want you to truly understand there's the revenue producers and there's the expenses. And I don't care what business you're in. You can be in the hotel industry. You can be the network industry. You can be in the cloud industry. You can be in the paint industry. You can become in the coffee industry. It really doesn't matter. When times are tough, there's people that bring in money, anything attached to sales. Sales reps, architects, etc. Sales. They bring in the money. So in a recession, when organizations have much less money, what they need is people that can bring in the money. So the sales reps, for those reasons, the account executives, the architects are always in the most elite positions. Now the back end people, support, companies get rid of them because they cost money. Even the back end programmers that make stuff happen. A company can't afford to lose their sales reps if they need to bring in more money, but they can make their developers do twice as much work for short periods of time if they need to survive, and they do in a recession. So those back-end engineering positions that are truly back-end often, get the brunt of the excess work. So in a recession, you want to be on the side that brings money in and not on the expense side. That's the best advice I can give you. I've never been laid off for that reason. Now, and I've gotten hired in a recession, even during hiring freezes. And I've only had one of my students that I've ever coached got laid off. And that person had a 6-figure severance and a $300,000 job in a week. So be in the revenue producing side, or make sure you've got great soft skills, great emotional intelligence, good leadership skills, good executive presence, socially smart. Here's the reason why. The people that are not liked are also the ones that get laid off first. So be lovable, be likable, and you'll do fantastic here to win. Great question, by the way. Kid 90s music. You have an A900 and an AWS cloud practitioner looking for your first cloud job. Any advice? You're in South Africa, by the way. So yes, Kid 90s music. I'd like to know what cloud job you're looking at. Which do you desire to do? Do you want to design, present, and sell? As an architect, do you want to be a cloud engineer where you build it? Is there something else? Because there's thousands of jobs that you could have on the cloud. So, if you tell me exactly what you'd like to do, I can tell you how to get there. But you're just telling me about certifications, and that's just certifications. And sadly, no certification in and of itself is enough to get you hired. But we can give you the guidance to use that certification and tell you what you need to learn to get hired. But I just need to know what your job is that you're looking for. Because, for example, what you would need to do to be a DevOps engineer is complete opposite of what you'd need to be a cloud architect or a solution architect. What you need to do to be an IAM architect is different than what you would need to do to be a security architect. What would you want to do as a cloud network architect? So there's hundreds of these jobs you could be doing on the cloud. So if you could tell me what you're interested in, then I can guide you. Then I can definitely guide you. And I'd love to. So please just give me a little more information. Raghav, hello from New Zealand. We'd love to get some tips and feedback on a new person like me who are about to graduate BIT and slide into an interview. So I don't know what you mean by BIT. One thing I will give you some guidance is to never use acronyms. Acronyms basically cause communications confusion. Architects never use acronyms. And here's the reason why. Not only is it considered less professional, but I want you to understand this. Early in my networking days, I got a call at 3 o'clock in the morning. And someone said, Mike, we're having trouble with these VPCs. They're going up and going down. And I literally woke up in the middle of the night and I said, how many VPCs? They said, it's constant. And I said, okay, administer a lidocaine bolus of 150 milligrams and then start a lidocaine drip at this. And I'll be in to see the patient in 30 minutes. And they said, Mike, what do you mean? You're going to crap Poland to go look at the router? And I said, no, you just told me the patient had too many VPCs. So I wanted to stop the VPCs before they went into VTAC because I used to practice medicine before there. Now, recently, one of our students who recently got hired as a cloud architect or a cloud security architect, and it was his first job, he says to me that he asked me when he should be able to, we got him his first security job and then we also got him his cloud security architect job all within a period of a year. But in his first job, he said, Mike, I want to get a raise. What should I ask for? And I said, what do you do? And he said, VM stuff. And I said, you're working with voicemail systems? Are you working with virtual machines? Are you working with this? And he says, no, I'm doing vulnerability management. So the point is, I really don't know what you want to do. But the key is, what would you like to do? What career would you like to do? Because a BIT, I don't know what that means. And I also don't know what job you're looking for. So if you can be a little specific, and I'm going to tell you this, for these jobs, the most critical thing that you have is your communication skills. Any of these bigger roles, so I would try to be as precision as possible. So if you'd like to be an architect, let me know. Meaning a systems designer. If you'd like to be an engineer, let me know. If you'd like to do something else, let me know. And I'd love to help you, but I need to know where you're going or desire to go. Please, folks, ask me some questions. I do want to really, really help you. I just need to know where you want to go. So, Rob, let me know your desired career. Okay, so you've told me that you have a bachelor's of information technology, which is just a degree. So, a degree, a certification, in and of itself, it's not enough for anything. The key is, if you know what it is, then I can guide you exactly how to get there. So, I want you to think about it this way. If you said I have a degree, or better yet, say I have 3,000 Australian dollars or New Zealand dollars in my pocket, I'd like to go on an airplane. And you'd say, which plane should I go to? Get on, and I say, I don't know. That's like saying I've got a degree. So if you tell me what it is, okay, I'm seeing cloud security. Okay, great. So now we need to know, do you want to design the security or build the security? Now, if you said consulting generally is much more discussions, design, present, and sell. Okay, that's good. I see that. So for cloud security, it's more about learning both the cloud and how to secure the systems. Now, what is the cloud? It's a network and a data center that's been virtualized, meaning it's any other network and data center that we've had for the last 40 years that somebody installs a cloud control plane and some hypervisors and container orchestration, and poof, you've got a cloud. All my students build the cloud. And very recently, we got somebody their first cloud architect job in New Zealand as well. Jeffrey, he was a great student, and we loved working with him. And I haven't been to ANZ in a while, but I always love it when I go to that part of the world. So for security, you're really going to need to know the network, which includes BGP. It's going to include IP addressing, subnetting, supernetting, route aggregation. It's going to be involved with NAT. You're going to need to know NAT, like heavy duty NAT, one-to-one NAT, one-to-many NAT, static NAT, dynamic NAT, PAT. And after that, what you need to learn is VLANs and VLAN tagging and VLAN trunking and spanning tree and rapid spanning tree from the networking side, ARP, proxy ARP, DNS, DHCP, WAN technologies such as SSL-based VPNs, IPsec tunnels, Ethernet over MPLS, private lines, software-defined networking, and SASE. So there's some of those things that you're going to learn. Now, the next things that you're going to need to learn is as follows. You will need to learn about virtual machines and containers and container orchestration, block storage, object storage, file storage, the types of databases that exist, NoSQL versus SQL databases, as well as firewalls. And I don't mean the cloud native kind. I mean next generation firewalls, intrusion detection and intrusion prevention systems, VPN concentrators, data loss prevention systems, identity and access management platforms such as Radius servers, as well as Active Directory. And then, on the consulting side of this, you're going to need to know about security policies. How do you write a security policy for the organization? You'll have to be able to determine how to lock down systems. What do you do to a system? What kind of things need to be done to harden operating systems? What kind of host-based firewalls need to be used? What kind of host-based IDS systems do we need? How and what kind of services are going to be disabled on the routers themselves? On the hosts themselves. And that way the systems are open and available for hacking. And then you need to be pretty sophisticated in your thought of like packet filtering, setting up demilitarized zones, training for social engineering versus training people for anti-phishing and those kind of things. Those are the kind of skills that you're going to need. Now, because it's consulting, the tech's not going to be enough. You're going to develop some leadership skills, some exercising influence skills, some relevancy to the executive leader, the C-suite, meaning like the CEO, CFO, CTO, CIO. You're going to have to get some good business acumen there. You're going to need to be able to understand business, because when you propose a $200 million, when you propose a $10 million security solution, and it's easily going to be that in a lot of cases, You've got to show the customer that what you're protecting is actually greater than the cost of the risk that they're exposed. So you're going to have to build business cases as well. When you get into the consulting side, it means presenting at conferences, writing thought leadership papers for you, et cetera, et cetera. And it's the best job in the world, Ragav. I absolutely love it. I've done it for 25 years. Those are the skills that you need. No, they're not taught in school. They're not. Half of these are taught in an MBA program, only half. And half of it, going through my MBA, my whole team has MBAs. We all had to do executive training for this as well. But those are the skills that you need to have. More like cloud consulting. I'm also not a big certification push person, but the point is it's still going to help you fresh out of school get an interview. They won't get you hired. A basic introductory cloud certification would be like the AWS Certified Solutions Architect Professional. It's very intro level. I know people think it's a lot, but it's very junior and intro level. You could do a CISSP along with that certification. What'll happen is you'll pass the full CISSP exam, and until you've worked for a couple of years, they'll call you a associate. But once you've worked for a couple of years, they'll automatically upgrade it. But all the employers will know you passed the hard exam. So there's that. And then go out there after you learn these things and know how to design them, learn how the pieces and parts work together. That's when you can start getting ready to interview. And after that, that's when you'll be successful in the interviews. If you don't know those things, what happens is you'll just go on interview after interview after interview. And we've worked with a lot of early career people. We do all the time. And it's a matter of wowing the employers. So the employers are looking for someone that's got energy and enthusiasm and passion, especially when you're young. They're looking to know that you're going to work hard and you're not going to run away from a challenge. They're looking to know that you're willing to go above and beyond, that you're a great team player, and that you're a pleasure to be around. That's what they're looking for. That's exactly what they need. You do that, and you will be getting a great job. And it'll be a great cloud security job that you'll be proud of, and you'll thoroughly enjoy it. And that's what I want for you. So that's how you do it. We also have a cloud architect career development program, which would get you your first cloud security architect job. You could be like Delroy Batt. Delroy's 24 years old, came to us. He did not have a bachelor's in technology. He had an associate's degree in technology, but it didn't matter. And he wanted to start security. He had spent a fortune on a boot camp. He went on 20, 30 interviews. Nobody would hire him. He came into our program. We prepped him for the interviews. We taught him actually security in the first 3 weeks, far more than he learned in the $10,000 boot camp that he took before this. After he learned what we did, we had done some interview prep with him. He bought 3 private interview sessions. We did the interview prep, and he had 3 offers within like 2 weeks. 3 weeks in our program. And he recently accepted a huge, fantastic cloud security architect job within 1 year of the time he met us. So maybe 13 months. So that's how you do it. We'd love to work with you, or you can do it on your own, but now you know exactly what you need to learn. Exactly. Thank you for your question. If you got more, I'm happy to go into more detail. Great question, by the way. Ask us your questions. That's why we're here, to make sure you can get to your destination. Des, but I'd say AWS and cloud architecture in their early days. Well, Des, I don't want to say cloud architecture is in its early days, and here's the reason. The enterprise architect, the network architect, there's just a cloud architect for today. So, it's the same job, just with slightly different things. So architecture, I remember when architectures were really born, and that was about 20 years ago. I was one of the first few in the architecture roles. I'd say the architecture roles are still growing. So we're still in the architecture early days. And what you'll see is 2 kinds of architects right now. And there's the kind of architects like me, which are really business executives that also know the tech. We've always been in extreme demand, but there's even more and more and more demand for our services now. There's still demand for people that are still technical, that can put the pieces together. So, in the early days, it was 50%. A lot of these architects were more technical. And then businesses realized that they needed less technical, and how do I make the business better? So that's the trend towards the architects. And I think we're early in adopting to that trend. But I'll tell you what, you show me an architect with good business acumen, CXO relevancy, leadership skills, emotional intelligence, the kind we train, I'll show you somebody that's got a very good high-paying job. and career mobility that's like a rocket ship, as opposed to, a little up and down and fits and starts. I want my students to be here. Now, I'll say the architectures in the cloud, I think, are way in its early days. So when I started networking, back when the dinosaurs roamed the earth and Atari just finished its games that look like little boxes over there, but I love networking. And in those days, the technology just didn't work so well. And, we got away with having, the rocket scientists that are doing things. And what happened in those days is as follows. In those days. So we do our tech and, architectures, we used proprietary enhancements. Cisco had this EIGRP routing protocol that they built on their own. It was special. And they had hot standby routing protocol, which was special that they made. And Cisco made all these beautiful proprietary enhancements. But they only worked with Cisco routers. And when we look at AWS, they made a bunch of these cool little proprietary enhancements things early in their cloud too. So did Azure, so did Google. Elastic Compute Service, a Amazon branded container management strategy that only works on AWS. I mean, it's insanity. DynamoDB, something which Amazon built. It's a good NoSQL database, but it only works on one cloud, and you got to be insane to have anything in a single cloud. Insane. Because when the cloud goes down, you go down. It's insanity. Half of Canada was taken down because people only used one single internet service provider. Rogers went down and 911 emergency systems are down. It's crazy. When AWS had global outages, no matter how many availability zones, organizations went down. Other clouds went down too. It's not just AWS's problem. So the key is organizations want to be across more clouds. So now what you'll see is the cloud is about 20 to 30 years behind the traditional network in the data center, but it's catching up. Data centers and networks went from beautiful proprietary technology to open standards. EIGRP, the routing protocol, which everybody used, it was simple and elegant, became OSPF, which was a standards-based protocol. In fact, 20 years ago, 21 years ago, I'm embarrassed to say it now, I was working at Riverstone Networks and I wrote a paper on OSPF or EIGRP to OSPF migration strategies. And it was all about how do you get out of proprietary protocols into something that supports an end-to-end ecosystem. So I'd say that stuff is there. When people say, I want to be an AWS architect, I'm like, no, you don't. You want to be a cloud architect. And they say, what do you mean? I said, you want to be able to work on AWS, Azure, Google, OpenStack, Nutanix, or the data center. You want to know how to do it all, not just one. 5 times the employability, higher pay rates, and your customers demand it anyway. So yes, I think we're at the infancy of what we can do in the cloud. I think it's not, right now we're mostly doing lift and shift architectures for the following reason. Portability, nobody wants to get into a really big proprietary solution issue. But we're going to be getting to the place where a cloud native is going to be cloud standards based. More Kubernetes, for example. Less Elastic Container Service. More MongoDB, less DynamoDB. And when that happens, that's when the true magic happens, because then we're in our clouds and our clouds are talking to each other. One cloud goes down, who cares? We got another cloud. Our clouds get distributed. So we get the benefits of low latency as if they were in the data center, as well as, the economies of scale in the big cloud. Now we've got cloud native applications which work across clouds in a non-proprietary manner. We've got standards-based databases, and the cloud becomes everything. When that happens, that's when the true innovation occurs. Look what happened with Linux. I mean, I lived through that. My first tech certification was an MCSE, Microsoft Certified Systems Engineer on Windows NT 4.0. It was highly proprietary and somewhat reliable. Truth be told, for all the technology Windows had to support, it was incredibly reliable, but it was somewhat reliable. Excuse me, my allergies are bad. Apparently sleeping with a cat on my head every night is not good for my allergies, but I love the cat. So there was that. And then Linux came out, and Linux was just for a bunch of us geeks that were playing with it. We were just toying with it. And then all of a sudden, 95% of all major servers are on Linux. And our router's operating systems are on Linux. Your cable box in your house is on Linux. Your Amazon Fire Stick is most likely on Linux. Your refrigerators are running Linux. What happened is we came up with an open standard, and the open standards were flexible, and then everybody used them, and that's when the adoption occurred. And that's when we get tech advancements constantly. So yes, I think we're in the early days of truly using the cloud. And when we figure out how to use it better, faster, and cheaper in a more open environment, wow, the innovation we're truly going to see, what the digital transformation we're going to see is incredible. 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 Mike, you currently have 6 weeks to focus on self-development and cloud competency. What do I recommend you to maximize in a short time? Solution architect in Houston. Well, what are you doing right now? And what is your starting point? I'm going to tell you right now that the chances of becoming a solution architect in 6 weeks, if you don't have some skills right now, is going to be near impossible. I get people solution architect jobs, but it takes me 8 months to do it. And that's with me knowing exactly what the students need and having 20 years of coaching experience to get you there. So maybe you can tell me what your starting point is. For example, if you're a network architect already, this is totally feasible. If you've been a network engineer for 20 years, but you also were a sales rep, this is probably feasible as well. So what is your background? Tell me what is your starting point, and I can see how we can get you there. But if your starting point is just, I've passed the AWS Certified Solution Architect Professional, I don't think we can get you there in 6 weeks. We can in 6 months, but not 6 weeks. So if you can give me a little more specificity about what you have skills already and your current job. And if your current job is something like law or management consulting, that's a good thing. If your current job is in networking, that's also a good thing. But it's really right now about knowing exactly where your starting point is. Now, normally I don't care about people's starting points because I can train anything. But you're trying to tell me you want to get to the gold in 6 weeks. So if you've got enough starting point there, we might make it happen. And I can tell you exactly what to do. But if you don't have anything other than a certified solutions architect professional, 6 weeks isn't going to be enough. So please tell me your starting point, and then I'll do anything I can to help you get there. Currently have IT experience and have recent teaching experience for 5 years. What is your IT experience and what is your teaching experience? Is IT experience programming? Is IT experience designing networks? Is IT experience designing data centers? Is IT experience being on Linux? That's going to be the key. If it's network and data center experience, it's going to carry over very well. If it's programming experience, it's not going to carry over very well. Current student at GoCloud and just received an SAA. Okay, so when did you start this program? So I don't know how long you've been with us. So if you've been with us for 3 or 4 months, then yeah, that's probably feasible in 6 weeks. Absolutely. What I would say is there's 2 components that you're going to need. And I don't know what you've actually done in the program either. I don't know. I don't remember seeing you in class or talking to you. But that doesn't mean, I've got big classes, so there's something like that. So let's kind of keep this in the back of your mind. If you've got a background and you're in the program and you've been doing the things, you'll notice that we're front-ended in soft skills and communication skills and leadership skills. There's a reason for that. That's the most critical part of the interview. That piece, actually. Now, on the second side of this is the tech piece. If I only had 6 weeks, what I would probably do is watch those under those weekly group coaching calls. I'd watch class after class after class after class after class. And realistically speaking, that is what's going to get you there. So, on that weekly group coaching calls, if you had only 6 weeks, I might say what I would recommend is that you watch class after class after class after class after class. And then now we're finding out you just joined the class 2 weeks ago, and you have experience with hardware and software support, and teaching experience in ministry settings. Okay, here's the good news: the teaching in the ministry settings is really relevant for you, because that's the presentation skills and not the teaching skills. That is really going to help you. Really going to help you. But we don't do support. We do the exact opposite support. We do design, presentations, and sales. So, not support. So, it's all about learning the network and the data center. So, in that program, make sure you learn the BGP, the IP addressing, subnetting, and supernetting, the VLANs, etc., and the switching concepts that we talk about. We talk a lot about the DNS and DHCP and ARP and proxy ARP, that kind of stuff. Make sure you get it. Make sure you're really learning about the servers and the server virtualization and the containers and the container orchestration. And make sure you're really learning about how we're designing the databases, the big data architectures. We've had a lot of big data architecture work coming in from Praveen. We've had some really good serverless architecture work from Lohit. We've had some great server application architecture pieces from Angelo in there. Make sure you watch it. About a year ago, and I think it was June 18th, we had a director at AWS come to our class and talk about why he loves our program so much and why our architects are very different. So there's that. But our program is 500 hours, and I don't know if you can do that in 6 weeks. But if you did 12 hours a day, 7 days a week, that would be 84 hours a week. In 6 weeks, you could probably do it. If you did at least 12 hours a day. And I'll tell you one thing, when I wanted my first job, I did better than 12 hours a day every day. I'm not joking. I read 1,000 pages a day. So if you did that, chances are you could probably get there. But just make sure you focus on the communication. The communication. What is the tech? How does the tech work? And why should I use it? Let me just shut this off. That's what I would do. But I don't ever want to mislead someone and tell them that I think I can get them a job within 8 weeks of joining my program. I usually say 16 weeks for people that have a good tech background, like a network architect, and about 8 months for people that don't. But we do know you'll get hired. And let us know how you're doing. And hopefully I get to see you in class tomorrow. Love to see you there. Actually, while we're at it, if you want to give us a like or a subscribe if you haven't yet, and make sure you join us for the How to Get Your First Cloud Engineer workshop tomorrow, if you're looking to become a cloud engineer. And make sure you sign up for the free interview session on Friday. You guys all have to pass an interview. I've interviewed at this point 6,000 people, so I know exactly what it takes to get hired. And I've hired plenty of people in my life, so I really want to help you. And Chris or Chow, whoever's moving the buttons, if you can bring in the next question. Alex, hi Alex. You started your AWS journey back in January. Your goal job will be a security architect. What are your suggestions? Well, Alex, my suggestion would be to take our Cloud Architect Career Development Program, honestly, because I think otherwise it's going to take you a lot of time, effort, and money to do it on your own. But, here's what you're going to need to learn. You're going to need to learn security. And in today's world, you're also going to need to know some cloud, because all the security is going to be on the cloud. On the security side, what you need to know is as follows. How do next generation firewalls work? How do we use them? How are VPN concentrators working, and how do we use them? How do you How about intrusion detection systems, and how do we use them? How do you craft a security policy? What do you determine what are the security training needs for the organization? What is the organization's data loss prevention strategy and all the things that go along with that? What are the organization's encryption strategies and how you're going to go along with that? How is the organization going to harden the operating systems of its systems? What kind of authentication systems are you going to use to identify who the user is, determine what they're allowed to do, and then track what actually happened after the fact? Really critical stuff. What are you going to do with all the logging files that are coming in from all of these systems? Are you going to be running them pushing them into a visualization tool like Tableau? Are you going to be running some machine learning things on these things, which you could be doing? What kind of self-healing strategy can you put into the security environment? What kind of governance needs to occur? What kind of zero trust environment needs to occur? This is where you need a deep knowledge. Deep knowledge. And this means understanding of the network, because you're going to be dealing with IP packets, IPv4 and IPv6 packets. In order to do packet filtering, you're going to need to know that. Demilitarized zone, you're going to need to know packet filtering, firewalls, and all these things. You're going to need to know how to integrate these pieces and parts together. You're going to have pretty good knowledge of network segmentation and things such as VLAN, VLAN tagging, VLAN trunking, authentication systems like 802.1x for MAC addresses not being turned on. Some good knowledge of quality of service, some good knowledge of content delivery networks, and some good knowledge of even ways to use things like auto-scaling to actually mitigate a DDoS attack. And then it's about understanding the attack patterns and the attack vectors of the way things come in, so you know how to defend against it. It's knowing who are the people you hire to help with other parts of the security. And of course, you need to know the cloud, which means, the virtual machines and containers and container orchestration, load balancers. You're definitely going to have a good understanding of load balancers, because you're going to be using load balancers in front of virtual machines in today's virtual security world. Do you need one set of firewalls, two sets of firewalls? What kind of firewalls to use? All the same things. All the same things. So I think it's a great career. We could train you in our cloud architect career development program. We get lots of cloud security architects out of that. Or you can learn these things. I just want you to get hired. But remember, Alex, these jobs, these architect jobs, are not about the tech. You must be trained in business and as a business executive. You must be relevant to the C-level executive, CEO, CFO, CTO. You must have incredible presentation skills. You must have exceptionally good leadership skills. You must have high levels of emotional intelligence. You must have great presentation skills, executive writing skills, negotiation skills, sales skills, and business acumen, the ability to look at a financial statement, a balance sheet, and make recommendations. Those are the kind of things you need to become a security architect. And it is the best job in the world. I've been a network architect. I've done lots of security designs, lots of cloud designs. I've got students all the time getting cloud security architect jobs. It is a great job. Just know it's just not just a tech job. It's 50 to 60% executive, 40 to 50% tech. It is a great career. But don't get 50 certifications. Get deep knowledge. Deep knowledge. And if you guys have questions, please ask them in the chat box. We want to help as many people as we can. For Azure, of course, it's live. We're here right now, live. I do this live 3 times per week to help you all build your best career. OT. Hello, Mike. For someone who does not have IT knowledge but wants to transition into tech, how can that person make a choice of which career path to specialize in? Whatever you want to do. I know that sounds silly, but I used to practice internal medicine, and I'm an architect now. So OT, I want to make it pretty clear. So Romanik Ivan Tambo, who's a very fine man and a great student of mine, was serving food at a restaurant and going to school in Atlanta, and he got his first cloud architect job. Coyote did something completely different. He was in college and he got his first cloud architect job through our program. Delroy Batt was an EMT, and like I was in my youth, and we got him his first cloud security architect job. Daniel Bosa was selling shoes at Nordstrom, and we got him his first cloud architect job. I had a behavioral health tech that just got her first cloud architect job. So the point is, you can do whatever you want. So the key is, what do you like, OT? If your goal is a solution where it's more of an executive, where you design solutions to solve customer business problems, present them, sell them, right? Thought leadership conferences, present at conferences, then you want to be an architect, like a cloud architect, a solution architect, and we can help you get there. Maybe you want to be the behind the scenes person that builds the actual solutions that the architect design does. That's the cloud engineer. Maybe you really love software development. And if you do, you decide to become a DevOps engineer. So it's really what makes you happy. I got to tell you, for me, I've been an engineer and an architect. I love engineers, but I don't want to work as an engineer. It's not something I enjoy doing. It's just not. It's not something I enjoy doing. I enjoy solving problems. I enjoy business level executive communications. That's what I love. But my best friend Moses, you know what? He loves the tech. When I go visit him in Pleasanton, California, I walk to his house. He's got a picture of me sitting on his phone. I go in there and he goes to his phone and changes the lights. I mean, his house is the most digitally enabled thing I've ever seen in my life. And I said, Moses, would you like to join me here? And he's like, no, I really love what I'm doing, because he loves the tech. And there you got it. You've got two people that are really close friends. My Peruvian friend Moses, who loves the tech, and he's like a brother to me. And here we've got me that's like, you know what? My VCR or for the video cassette recorder, my ovens, they blink 12 o'clock, 12:00. And here's the reason they blink 12:00. Once the power goes out in Florida, which happens all the time, I don't know how to reset those things. I don't even want to be bothered with it, because I like the design present itself. So the key is, networking, cloud architecture, I can build that too, but that's my world. But for anything else, it's just, I don't like to touch the tech. I like to design it, present it, and sell it. So I love being an architect. But if I like working on tech, guess what? I'd love being an engineer. But it's all about doing what you love. You don't have to start at help desk. You don't need an admin job. My first job was a senior engineer. I've given you 5 examples of people whose first job was a solution architect, straight out of our program. So I ask you, what would you enjoy doing? You want to be customer facing and talk to people? You're an architect. And by the way, you'll get paid incredibly well to do it. You want to sit behind the computer and build stuff? Guess what? You'll be a cloud engineer. You'll still get paid well, nowhere near as well as the architect, but you'll love it if that's what you like to do. So what makes you happy, OT? What makes you happy? For me, I like coaching people, which is why I'm doing it. I like solving problems, which is why I'm an architect. I do it. When my student says I'm cloud hired, Mike, I cry most times. And I know it sounds crazy, but Chris or Alonzo will tell you, it brings tears to my eyes. Because I love seeing it, because I grew up really poor. Really poor. Really poor. And, fought to get out of it. In fact, yesterday I was giving someone a business case when I was trying to say, money now is worth a lot more than money later. I put $40,000 on my credit cards just to do my Cisco Certified Internet Expert exam, because I couldn't afford it. Now, once I passed that exam, I paid it off within 4 months. And poof, I was done with it. And I had higher earnings forever. But the key is, I knew in my heart that's what I wanted to do. I love networking. I love networking. I love networking. So tell me what you love, and I'll figure out how to get you. Now, Chris, I think there's another half of this question. Okay, cloud architect it is then. What would be the first step to take to be an architect, and how to continue? OT, I'm going to give you the short and inexpensive plan, and I'll give you the long and highly expensive plan. And how you choose to do that is up to you, but I'm going to make sure you know how to do it easily. The simplest and by far the cheapest is to take our Cloud Architect Career Development Program. I think with the discount right now, it's a total of $800, and it will teach you everything you need to know to get you a cloud architect job. And most likely we'll get it for you far faster than you can on your own. And it's going to be a lot cheaper than you can do on your own. But if you're not with us, I'm still going to tell you exactly what you need to do. And you'll see why our program is so much cheaper. Because I don't need to work, and our program is designed to help others. It's a charitable mission, honestly. So if you are with us, this will all be in our program. If you are not with us, the first thing that I need you to understand is the cloud is nothing more than a network and a data center. Nothing more. Nothing more. Now, what we do as cloud architects is predominantly take the stuff from the network and the data center to the cloud, which is another network and a data center. That's where certifications are worthless. Certifications don't teach you anything about the network and the data center, and they don't teach you anything about the inner workings of the cloud either. Just the name of the service, which in many cases we don't even use, and how to configure that service. And a cloud architect doesn't configure anything. We design, present, and sell. So you need to know the network, which means you need to know the routing protocol BGP. Now, you can get this from the book Internet Routing Architectures, from the RFCs that are out there. This is a deep routing protocol that you're going to read 50 or 500 or 1,000 pages to truly understand, or it's covered in my course. Now, beyond this, if you don't get the IP addressing right and the subnetting and supernetting of your architecture right, everything will come collapsing down. So you're going to need a good knowledge of IP addressing, subnetting, supernetting, route summarization, aggregation, etc. Next, you're going to need to understand WAN technologies, because that's how we create our connections to the cloud, which will be things like IPsec tunnels, SSL-based VPNs, private lines, Ethernet over MPLS, software-defined networking, and SASE. Good news here, you can get this information from Cisco Systems and Juniper, Aviatrix, a couple thousand pages, and you're going to understand that. Or take my course, which will be much easier. Now, you're going to be dealing with switching, which includes VLANs and VLAN tagging and VLAN trunking, some spanning tree and rapid spanning tree, port channel, ether channel, the link aggregation groups, those kinds of things. Now, when we're dealing with these issues, we're still going to be dealing with DNS and DHCP and ARP and proxy ARP. Again, you can read the RFCs. So from the networking side, I'd say we've got about 10,000 pages of reading, or just take my course and learn exactly what you need to know. On the data center side, OT, you're going to have a deep understanding of servers and server virtualization. But here's the good news. You can go to the VMware website, the KVM website, the QEMU website, and the Citrix Zen website. Read all about it in a couple hundred pages, and you'll understand server virtualization. Next, you need to understand containers and container orchestration. So OpenShift, Docker, Kubernetes, lots of documentation on that. I go to a couple hundred pages again. It's free, and you can read it. Now, next, you need to understand storage, which means block storage, object storage, and file storage. Here's the good news. Dell EMC and IBM have incredible documentation on this. 300 to 500 pages on each, and you'll understand it. Or take our course. Next, you need to understand load balancers, but it gets easy. You go to the F5 web page, read 100 or 200 pages on load balancers, network load balancers, application load balancers, reverse proxies, and you're going to be good there. Now, when you've done those things, you need to understand databases. Guess what? You can go to the Oracle website. You can go to the MariaDB website, the MySQL website, the Postgres website, the MongoDB website, and the Apache Cassandra website, and you'll learn your databases. Next, you need to learn the security appliances. You can go to the Cisco page, the Palo Alto page, the Fortinet page, and the Checkpoint page, and read all about intrusion detection, intrusion prevention, next generation firewalls, VPN concentration, remote access, and those kinds of things. Get some good understanding of Active Directory. Get some good understanding of ERP applications, CRM applications, and that's the tech piece. Now, that you can do without spending a lot of money. The means I gave you. Here's where it's going to get expensive, and these are the other critical skills for the cloud architect. As a cloud architect, you need to have executive presence to be able to command the room. I'll tell you personally, I've got more than $10,000 of executive presence training just to be able to do these things that I have, and you're going to have to spend some money there, or take our course where we cover it. And the executive presence training will be 4 to 5 times more expensive minimum than our course. Next, you're going to have a high level of emotional intelligence for this job. Taking lots of training here. It's covered in our course. If not, you're going to need a course that's going to be $3,000 to $5,000 for the week. Now, presentation skills are critical for this job. I've taken a half a dozen presentation skills courses after my MBA and first master's degree, after having 10 years experience giving presentations, and you have to do that. So it's covered in our course, but if not, you're there. CXO relevancy. No, I probably have $30,000 of education that was spent on this, so I could do this. Companies, it was so mandatory. The company sent me at the positions I was in, but they don't hire architects without this. And you got to know what to say to the CEO versus the CFO versus the CTO. This is all inside of our program. Now, as an architect, you're going to need to write thought leadership documentation. You're going to have to write like an executive, which is exact opposite way they taught us to write in our MBA programs and college. So you're going to need some training there. Again, it's covered inside of our program. Now, you're going to be negotiating deals upwards of $1 billion deals. So you're going to have some negotiation skills. So we teach them heavily. But if you're not with us, you can either go to the Chris Voss School of Negotiation or the Harvard Negotiation Project and implement some of that, and now you'll have it. Now you've got the business skills and the tech skills that are going to get you there. Now, those business skills, if you don't take it with us, are going to cost you $30,000, $40,000. With us, our whole program is about $800 with the current discount. Now, next, I want you to tune up your resume. So even though architects don't touch the tech, all we do is design, present, and sell. Someone's going to ask if you've ever done it before. So I want you to do some labs on AWS, basic labs, the kind of stuff you would do in the Certified Solution Architect Professional intro level stuff. Same thing on Azure. But then, and if you're with us, guess what? You've got it. If you're not with us, I need you to buy a server. Now, the server access is included in our course. But if you're not with us, I need you to buy a server. And it's going to cost you about $2,000 for that server, which is almost 3 times more the price of our course. But you're going to need this. And the server is going to need to have at least 16 cores, 128 gigs of DRAM, 3 SSDs in RAID 0 or an NVMe drive. And on this server, here's where you're going to get your network and data center experience. Work with VMware ESXi, set up a container, set up a firewall, set up a VPN concentrator, build the Linux Apache MySQL PHP web stack the hard way, set up an Active Directory server, and build yourself a cloud. All my students do, they build a cloud. Because that way you've got competency and you've got something. So that's what I would do. And that's similar to what we do, and that's what we give our students, but we do it all for $800. The reason we do that is I don't need to work. I founded this company to help people get hired. I saw the current training that was out there and knew it was insufficient. So we created something to truly help people build their best lives and careers, and I'm proud that we do it because every day one of my students is getting hired. So that's how we do it. So you know what to do on your own. You know what to do with us. We'll be a lot cheaper, but I don't care. As long as you're caught hard in the end, and you tell me when you're caught hard, I'm excited for you. That I'd love to train you if you want to work with us. So, Chris, you can go to the next one. And if OT, if you have more questions, I'd love to answer. Kalinzo, if the interview is focused on what you can do for us and not a degree, why do we still study for 4 years in a program in computer science and all of that? Kalinzo, the only reason anybody would ever get a college degree is this following, to say that you've done it. That's it. It shows that you have the ability to start something and finish something. I have no degrees in tech. I've got a master's degree as a nurse practitioner and an MBA. I wouldn't do a computer science degree. And when people ask me, Mike, should I get a master's in tech? I say never. I say get an MBA instead. It's not going to help you. So why are people focused on it? Because we've all been told that we have to. I still recommend a degree, even though I'm getting people that I've gotten a high school dropout, a high-paid cloud architect job for the world's largest bank, mind you. But he was smart. So from us, it's about, getting the specific degree, not just any degree. And I like business degrees. I really do. The reason I like business degrees so much is they teach a little bit of the business acumen, which is necessary for every other job in the world. There's not a single school, there's one in New Jersey that actually teaches networking. I almost became a professor at one of the universities. And they wanted me to give a presentation, and I said, "You want me to talk about something to test me, something complicated, or something simple?" And they said, "Give us something complicated like IP subnetting." And I went, "If this is going to be complicated, seriously, that's the foundation for everything." So I asked everybody, all the professors. There was like 8 PhDs. Do you know something? Of course I do. Of course I do. Of course I do. You guys know my style. I teach a little. I ask some questions, and nobody knew anything. I mean, it was truly, truly scary. So the key is I still love education, but not just any degree. A degree in computer science looks great. It does. But realize you're not going to learn the skills and the degree that's going to get you hired. You're going to have to learn them on your own. And Kalinta, I'm going to give you an example of what I did and how I made education work for me. Because I am a believer in education, huge believer, but focused education. So when I did my MBA the second time, first time I did my MBA program, I was young. I was doing 2 master's degrees full-time at the same time while working a full-time job. And I got a job back in 2000, 1999, whatever it was, that paid me so well, I had to just take it, and I had to drop the MBA program that I had done 3/4 of. I got a job that I had only dreamed about as an outcome, and I said, okay, I'm going to do it. Well, about 5 years later, I felt bad that I didn't finish the MBA program. And I called the university, and they didn't accept their own credits anymore, even though I had all A's. So I was like, okay, I went to another university. Now, the university was 80 miles south of my house, and I worked 40 miles north in New York City. So what I would do on my school days, which was 3 days per week, was as follows. I would drive to work, which would take me 2 hours, and I would drive from my work to basically Delaware, which would take me another 3 hours, and then drive 2 hours home. So I was driving about 6-7 hours a day. So what I actually did was as follows. When I took a marketing class, I went and bought audiobooks on CD. And I'd listen to 10 marketing books in addition to my marketing class. I learned marketing. Did the same thing for accounting, same thing for finance, same thing for everything. So in the end, I had about 10 times the content than they actually taught in the school. In fact, I had a 2-hour commute every day for minimum for about 6 years. And you know what I did? Every single day I listened to an audiobook. I was going through 3 to 10 books a week. Most of my life I've read 3 books a week. I haven't been too good about that these days because I've been too busy, but that's the point. So it's dogma. I mean, Michael Dell didn't go to college, became, the richest person, one of the richest people in the world. Steve Jobs didn't go to college, became one of the richest people in the world. I do like school, and I recommend school for everybody, but I recommend something specific, something very focused. And I recommend not doing a bunch of things that you think are interesting along the way as elective, but focused, because that's really what we're talking about. Getting you focused and really building your good career. My degrees are in something completely unrelated. Ragav, I have to pass your CCSK certification last week, and I did some internship last year. The only thing that I was stuck on was asking about yourself, or you put information in such a punchy summary line types. Ragav, I don't really know. I will tell you that what people tell you at an interview is not the reality. I don't know how your interview went, but if your interview, if an interview didn't go well, they're going to tell you the following: come back when you have more experience. I didn't like a response to this. They're not going to tell you the real reason. So, not really sure what happened. You may have done great. It may have been exactly what they told you. It may not have been that. But in general rule, I interview people. All managers interview people. And when someone says, "Look, how'd your interview go?" And when I interview someone, if it went terribly, I usually say, come back when you have more experience, which is what most people do, because I know they don't have the competency. If they're competent, I don't tell them to come back when they have more experience. So, yes, you should have a pre-canned answer for tell me about yourself, But Ragav, if it's dying right there, or that's what they're telling you, I suspect there's something much deeper that you have to figure out what that underlying problem is. It's either a competency problem or a communication skill problem, an attitude problem, an energy problem, an enthusiasm problem, a knowledge problem. There's something going on. Or it was just a goofy interview. So I don't know. But I will tell you this. If you've ever been on more than 3 different interviews with 3 different companies and you've not been hired, there is a problem. There is a problem that needs to be solved. Now, without speaking to you, I don't know what that problem is. And I don't even know if you have a problem. Because this just could have been, the one thing that you actually went on. I have no idea. But what you hear as feedback is almost never the reality. It's never the reality. We find ways to soften the blow of an interview. So don't exactly know what happened there. But I can tell you this. If you're selected to go volunteer in our practice interview on Friday, I will interview you and I will give you an honest answer of what the problem is and tell you exactly what to do with it. Because I do want to help you. I do want to help you. Classy, you'll be taking the AWS Solution Architect very soon. Should I enroll in your tech interview mastery program now or wait until then? Well, Classy, just because you take the AWS Certified Solution Architect exam does not give you the skills necessary to be hired. So what I would say is you could try our tech interview mastery program now and practice that along with the exam. But most likely, it won't be enough. You're going to need real training to get a job. So I don't want to just tell you that the interview program is going to be enough. If your skills are enough, the answer is yes. But understand that just a certified solution architect professional without the knowledge of the network and the data center, without the business acumen, leadership skills, sales skills is not going to be enough. Now, Classy, if your skills are right, then our tech interview mastery program will help you. And I'd rather you start the tech interview program now while you're doing the exam for the following reasons. How to present in an interview to truly win is going to take you a couple months to truly master that, minimum. So I'd rather see you start that now. And what I'll tell you is this. If you do our tech interview mastery program and you go in some interviews and you're not getting hired, it's going to be a training issue. It won't be an interview tactic issue. Because we are extremely good at training people to pass an interview. Extremely good at it. Extremely good at it. Extremely. How long will it take to be hired as a solution architect, background, front desk, from physical security? Typically speaking, with my training, about 8 months to a year. Assuming people actively do the work. Doing it on somebody's own, it's going to take a couple of years to do it because they're going to not know exactly what to learn. And they're going to be learning bits and pieces of a lot of different things. And in the process of learning bits and pieces, it'll distract you and be as distraction to focus. It'll take years. But in our world, we can do it in about 8 to 12 months. Realistically. And we're delivering it in 8 to 12 months. I have students that are really motivated. They get through faster. But as a rule, it's about 8 to 12 months for a hardworking, motivated person. Now, the AWS Solution Architect is retiring. The new one is SA303. Will it be different? It's no different. So if I give you an exam that's today on macroeconomics, and there's a new book on macroeconomics that comes back out tomorrow, and I'm going to give you an exam on macroeconomics, it's still going to be the same. Look, all these cloud certifications are the name of a service and how to configure that service. So it's the same exam. Now, here's where it's going to change, Mahmoud. There are people that buy exams on the internet, and they buy answer keys. The answer key is going to change. So for people that are trying to cheat them by basically buying an answer key, memorizing, or mugging up a bunch of question and answers, this will be different for them because there's going to be new questions. Some new questions, some old questions. Yes, they'll be, okay, instead of spending 20% on this, we'll spend 15% on this and 5% more on someplace else. Same thing. Nothing's changing. There's a Who song, Meet the New Boss, same as the old boss. It's kind of cool. I loved it. Well, I mean, that's the thing. It's the same thing. You could have prepared for version 1, version 2, version 3. And other than some subtle differences, which will be a couple percent of the exam, it's the same thing. I mean, when I learned pharmacology, actually, you know what? Oh, here we go. This was a fun book just to show you. This is when I talk about the certified solution architect professional being nothing. Here's the concept. This is one of 3 of the books that we used in my pharmacology class. So 1 of 3. And the book is 2,866 pages, back when I used to practice internal medicine. This was one of the 3 books that we read for our pharmacology class. So, there was another version of this that came out a month later. You know what? Guess what? It's the same content, because the way a calcium channel blocker works is the same no matter which version of the book. A virtual machine, Mahmoud, that was in the VMware data center 20 years ago, is the same virtual machine that AWS calls an EC2 instance, Azure calls a virtual machine, and Google calls a compute instance. The block storage that existed for the last 30 years, guess what? Instead of being called block storage, let's say object storage that's existed for the last 30 years, and block storage has for a while too, but the object storage, normally we call it object storage. AWS decided to call an old thing S3. Google decided to call it cloud storage. And Azure decided to call it blob. Microsoft decided to call it blob. It's the same technology. So 95% of the exam is going to be the same. You don't need new training for it. But the practice test will need to be different. Because if you bought a cheat practice test, the kind where they have a 99.6% guaranteed rate because they give you the exam, they may make the questions very differently. So instead of saying, you've got a database where the read traffic is 4 times the write traffic, how would I scale that? In this case, you'd know to add read replicas. But in the next, there might be a version of, you've got a read-heavy database where there's substantially more read traffic, specifically 4 times more traffic. How would you scale it? The read traffic and write. It's the same question worded differently. And guess what? The answer is going to be the same. You need read replicas. So those are the kind of things. So much similar. Don't make a big deal about these things. The certification providers will, and here's the reason. They sold you the old course. Now I got to sell you the new one. But it's the same thing. It's the same thing. Same thing. No real difference worth talking about. So focus on learning the materials, and these exams are simple. Focus on passing the exam, and the exams are hard. The Google Professional Cloud Architect, just to prove a concept, which is the hardest of these exams, I did it with 2 days preparation. And I never worked on the Google Cloud. That was the only cloud I didn't work on. I did it because I knew the cloud so well that I read the book on a Saturday and Sunday, the Cybex book for Google, and it was a nothing exam. But that's really the key. Know the material, and the exams are easy, no matter which version it is. Moses, wow, I was just talking about my friend Moses from Peru. Blessings, Mike, you'll be joining your course soon. We'd love to work with you. Looking to become a cloud security architect. That's great. Should I focus on some certs like SAA and wait to focus on the course? Moses, take our course and then do the certifications. What certifications would take you 6 months on your own might take you 3 days after you have the knowledge in our course. But more importantly, you've got to build the foundation of the house before you build the house. You have to. And the foundation, and I don't eat cake, I don't eat sugar, but my wife likes cake, and my buddy likes cake, and my brother eats cake. And when I asked him about the cake, I said, what is it about the cake? And they said, I like the cake. And it's even better when there's icing on top. And I said, so you could eat the cake without the icing? And they said, yeah, it's just not as good. And that's the key. The knowledge is the cake. The certifications is just the icing. The certifications alone are completely meaningless. So Moses, I want you to understand the concept of time and money. So as a rule, at least in the US, and your last name looks a little Eastern European to me, I'm not sure, but my family's from Greece, so depending upon where you're at. In the US, the average cloud architect earns $600 a day. So if you were to waste 3 months trying to do a silly certification before you got to us, and the average cloud architect earns $12,000 a month, and a good one can easily earn double that, if you waste 3 months on doing a silly certification first, it costs you $30,000 of income. If you do our training and you can do the certification with a weekend's preparation because you know the material, then guess what? You got hired that much faster. So I would say get the knowledge from the course, and then these little certification exams, they're not even a speed bump in your life. Try to do the certifications by doing boring AWS training. Ugh, I got to tell you, that's going to be challenging. And we provide the training for the certifications in our course anyway, in addition to all the other training. So I'd say we provide training for 2 certifications: the Azure Solutions Architect Expert, the AWS Certified Solutions Architect Professional. They're basic and junior and intro level certifications. And then the rest of our program is really teaching you how to be an architect, how to do the job, how to do the presentations, how to do the design, how to build the teams, how to lead. And yeah, you're going to get good results in our program, and you're going to learn a lot, a whole lot. So we'd love to work with you. The sooner we work with you, the sooner we can get you to your goals. And we'll make those certifications look like nothing, as opposed to be challenging trying to do them on your own. They'll be nothing for you, truly nothing. So Chris, bring in the next question. Emmanuel, hi Mike, I'm currently a web designer. Should I go for a cloud architect or cloud engineer? Emmanuel, what do you want to do with your life? That's the question you have to answer yourself. Yesterday, I was a wild man. We were up late, I had a really long day, and I ordered a cheeseburger with 3 broccolis. I don't normally eat a cheeseburger, but I did. Now today, I woke up and I did 3 hours of yoga in a 130-degree room. The cheeseburger from yesterday is all but forgotten about. Now I feel great today. Maybe it wasn't 3 hours of yoga, maybe it was 90 minutes of yoga and 60 minutes of sitting in a 160-degree sauna. But that's really the key. What I did yesterday has no bearing on my future. Emmanuel, what's going to make you happy? That's your next job. It has nothing to do with what you did in your past. And here's the reason. Daniel was selling shoes, and he's now a cloud architect. Delroy was working on ambulances, and now a cloud architect. Coyote was a college student, and is now a cloud architect. Jennifer was a mental health tech, and is now a cloud architect. Yvonne was working as a food server while going to school, is now a cloud architect. The point is anybody can do any job they want. My last job used to be practicing internal medicine. So what makes you happy, Emmanuel? If you want to be on the customer-facing side, design, present, and sell, you want to be an architect. And if you want to be the person that builds the systems, you want to be a cloud engineer. In any case, what you do as a web designer versus either one of these jobs is so very different, it doesn't matter anyway. But the point is what do you want to do? You can do anything, Emmanuel. Seriously, anything. We can all do anything we want. If you woke up and said, I'm a web designer today, but I want to be a lawyer, I'd say go to law school, and you will be. If you'd say, I'm a web designer today and I want to be an airplane pilot, I'd say go to flight school. If you want to be a cloud architect, come to our cloud architect school. You've been a cloud engineer, go to a cloud engineer school. Just train for the job you want. How do you determine the job you want? What do you really enjoy to do? If you don't love your job, it's going to be obvious. Your employer's not going to love you either, and you're going to have career stagnation. If you don't love your job, you're going to be depressed. You're going to be asking for things like work-life balance, which assumes you hate your job. And you're going to be like, I hate this. I can only do it for 8 hours, and I go home, and that's what my life is. We can't live that way, Emmanuel. We need work-life harmony, not work-life balance. We have to enjoy what we do. As Mark Twain, the author, said, if you make your vacation or holiday, depending upon, because you've got an African last name, so I'm assuming you're a bit more on the British side. So if you make your holiday your vocation or your job, you'll never work a day in your life. So, Emmanuel, I used to work in medicine. I liked it, but it was a job. I get home in the end of the day, I was tired. I was cranky. I got yelled at by other doctors, other nurses, other patients' family members, fighting with insurance companies to get my patients' meds taken care of. I mean, it was a day. I got home, I was done. I switched to tech. I don't think I've ever worked a day in my life. It's been 25 years. Yes, I put in some 16-hour days. Yes, I work hard. But I got to tell you, I've loved every last minute of it. Every last minute of it. So I recommend you do whatever you like. If you like to design, present, and sell, and talk to people and be customer facing, be a cloud architect. It's the best job in the world. If you like to go sit behind a computer and code and configure, then be a cloud engineer. It'll be your best job in the world. But it's about what's going to make you happy. You have to love your life. Money's not enough of a reason to do anything. Because at some point, the body and the family just adapts to having more money, spends more money, and you can't have a job you don't like. You just can't. It's not the key to happiness. So I would say, what do you like, Emmanuel? And then just do it and go after it and be the best you can at your job. Learn your job, master your job, be laser focused on being the very best of your world. Let the rest of the world focus on learning this silly thing and this silly thing and this silly thing, which isn't related to their job. And now you show up like an Olympic gold medalist at your job, where everybody else is a jack of all trades, which is really an enthusiast or a hobbyist, not a good at anything. You go apply for whatever you love. You master what you love. You become an expert and a thought leader in what you love. Your career will take care of itself. So do what you love. I love being an architect. I got a good friend, Moses, who loves being an engineer. Do what you love. You'll be awesome. Chris, let's go to the next one. Oh. For the cloud architect's roles, it sounds like customer-facing experience is a must. You don't have that. You have 1 year of course as a software tester. Will you be able to get experience? Oh, I've just given you an example of a behavioral health, mental health technician, a shoe salesman, an EMT, a college student, a geology person, staring at the examples we've had recently. Anybody can be anything with the right training. So of course you can get the cloud architect job with the right training. Of course you can, but you're going to need training for every job. I wasn't born learning and knowing how to practice internal medicine. I wasn't born knowing how to do a sales meeting. I wasn't born knowing how to do customer facing anything. I was trained and educated in it. Humans have no instincts whatsoever. How bad is it when a human is born? Sometimes we have to even smack it to get it to start breathing. And when the baby comes out, it has no ability to survive at all. We have to keep warm. We have to feed it. If we don't feed it, the baby will die within 48 or 72 hours. We're not like a cat. Like a cat gets born, and if the mother dies, the cat's got survival instincts. It knows where to look for things. It knows. We are not like that. Humans have zero instincts. Zero. We get everything that we do is learned, but we learn really well, which is why we're, a pretty dominant species. We learn real well. So the key is we can learn any job we want. That's the point of education. You're not going to learn these things just by doing. You don't learn anything by doing. You learn by learning. So it's any job you want it to do as long as you get the correct training. And if we give you the experience training to do your customer facing things, but you gotta want to do it. You gotta get out of your comfort zone and do it. So yeah, it doesn't matter where your starting point is. We can train you for it, but you'll have to take the communication side seriously. You'll have to take it seriously. And I can tell you right now, we've worked with two sets of people. The people that think they're going to be an architect by only doing the tech work. And then a year later, they're like, Mike, why aren't I hired? And I said, you haven't done any of the leadership piece. And that's the main thing they're looking for. And they say, oh. And then they do the leadership piece and they get hired. Or I get the people that take the leadership piece very seriously, like the Delroys of the world, and the Coyotes of the world, and the Ivan Tambas of the world, and the Jennifers of the world. And these are all young people with no tech experience whatsoever. And they're all getting hired because they focused on the key skills for the job. And this is a job where your tech skills are not quite as important as your leadership skills, your sales skills, your communication skills, your executive presence, emotional intelligence. That's why we created our training program. That's one of the many reasons certification alone is not enough. That's why we teach these things. None of us are born knowing how to do anything. We have to learn. That's what education is for. That's why we can get doctors as their first job. They don't start out as a nursing assistant, become a nurse, become a physical therapist, a pharmacist, and then, oh, by the way, I'm a doctor. No, they don't do that. They become doctors. Lawyers don't work as legal assistants and paralegals. They get trained to be lawyers. Pilots don't work as airplane mechanics and then say, I'm going to learn to fly the plane. No, they don't. They try to study for their skills. Architects need to be trained to be architects. If you're trained to be an architect, you'll be an architect. Not based upon what your experience is. It's based upon what your training is. What is your competency? So you can do anything you want. You got to get the training for it. We provide training for it. We'd love to train you, but it's up to you. You have to believe in you. If you believe in you, you'll be able to convince others to believe in you, and you will do pretty incredibly. YouTube user. Hi, Mike. Is the training and lab self-paced or instructor-led? YouTube user, we are a combination of both. We go live on Zoom 3 times per week. By doing it, we get to have real life, meaningful conversations and meaningful instruction. Students ask me questions. I answer their questions. I get to interview students in class. They get to design architectures. So 3 live classes per week via Zoom. Next, in between those live classes, we've got approximately 500 hours of training things to do. Everything from videos on interviewing to negotiating to doing architecture work. The user does a project, turns them in. We give feedback so our users get better. Now, most of the labs are self-paced. In our engineering program, we actually demo a lot of the labs. In our architecture program, we do architecture work, which is design. Now, sometimes, for example, next week, the students in my architecture and engineering programs are going to be doing a hands-on work with the actual instructor where they're going to be building a private cloud together. So that will be instructor-led labs. And then the students will all go and do it again on their own in a self-paced environment. So we do 3 live classes per week. We have videos and assignments, everything from written assignments to presentation skills to negotiation skills to architecture assignments in between classes that everybody gets feedback on to make sure our students are better. We've got a wild community all over the world that help people help each other in ways you can't even imagine internationally and so far all over the world. I've got employees everywhere from Cameroon to Colombia, Brazil, the US. We really work pretty hard to make sure we've got a good international group because we work with a wonderful number of international people. And then that's how we do this. So we do a hybrid. By doing a hybrid, our students can come to class and ask questions. In between classes, if they've got questions, they can post it on Slack. They do assignments when we're not with them, so our students are constantly learning, and then our students do labs. Now, even though architects don't touch the tech, they still want to know if you've done it in the past. So our labs are not like just basic labs. Sure, we do the same basic kind of labs that everybody does on AWS and Azure. We do. So you can say you've done them. But we do real labs. You'll be working with the data center stuff, the network stuff, server virtualization. You'll be building containers. You'll be building Active Directory servers. You're even going to be designing and building your own cloud. And that way, when people see you, they're going to know you are ready. And that's part of the reason that I have students that are saying, Mike, recruiters reached out to me because I've got Go Cloud Careers on my LinkedIn profile. And I say, yeah, that's what we do it. That's why we're so high profile. So yes, combination of self-paced and instructor-led. And Because we know it's self-paced and we know people's lives can be a little chaotic from times, we actually let people stay in the program for up to a year until they're hired. Not that anybody needs a year, but we let people do it just because I want to know everybody's student gets hired by doing the work. So we could help you. We'd love to help you. And I'd look forward to, if we help you, for you telling me, hey, Mike, I'm cloud hired, because that's the highlight of my week, highlight of my day, and it happens almost every day. I know it makes the rest of my team equally happy. Love that question, and thank you for your question. If you've got more questions, please ask us. Emmanuel, after taking our Cloud Architect for $800, are there any additional courses you have to take? No, there's nothing you have to take. It's all included in our program. We put everything you need, 100% of everything that you need, inside of this program. Because Emmanuel, I'm doing this for a reason. I want you to get it straight from the source of someone that's actually been an architect for 2.5 decades. I don't want you to have to buy everything. And I've given my students a perfectly curated collection of exactly what they need to know and nothing more. And here's the reason, Emmanuel. I know that when people try to learn everything, the effect is they have knowledge of nothing. Because when you spread yourself too thin, you become a hobbyist and not hireable. So I include the perfect amount of networking, the perfect amount of data center, the perfect amount of leadership, the perfect amount of AWS and Azure, just exactly what you need to get hired. And the proof is in the pudding. I've gotten well over 100 people hired in the last year as the Price Cloud Architect job. And most of our salaries are between the $120,000 and $275,000 range. So it's working. So now our course is specific and goal-directed and highly, 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 highly focused. Because I want to know that our students do well. I want to know our students succeed. And anytime we deal with another recruiter or hiring manager that tells us we need something else, we always improve and tweak and tune the concept. We bring in modern interview tactics. We're constantly improving everything we do. So no, you don't need anything else, just our course, and you'll be good to go. OT. Please, what are the most suitable graduate programs for the cloud architect other than an MBA? Is business process control, automation, industrial management appropriate for cloud architect? No. OT, I'm going to make it very clear to you. Either do an MBA to enhance your career or don't waste your time. The only reason the MBA is helpful is it shows and teaches you some business acumen. You're not going to be doing business process engineering. You're not going to be doing industrial management. You're going to be designing something. So, look, if you don't want to do an MBA, you don't have to, but I wouldn't waste my time getting any other advanced degree. Instead, I'd focus, if I didn't want to do an MBA, I'd focus my money on getting an executive coach, focus my money on taking presentation skills class, spend my money on emotional intelligence classes, spend my money on soft skills classes, spend my money on leadership classes, but I wouldn't waste my time in another master's degree program. And here's the key is why. OT, like my manager said to me 20 years ago, my manager dragged me into a room and he says to me, Mike, do you know the difference between a $150,000 sales engineer like you and a $300,000 architect? I said, tell me. He said, there's no point in you getting any more tech skills. He said, they only get you so far. He said, any more tech, any more basic education, and there's no purpose for you. He said, why? You're already peaked out above that. And he says to me, if you want to make a difference, you need to work on your business acumen, your leadership skills, your sales skills, your executive presence, your emotional intelligence, the ability to do business cases and ROI modeling, improving your RFI, RFP, and RFQ responses. Those kind of things. He said, improving what you can sell, building and leading teams. Now, OT, here's what I did. I did an MBA and then did all these leadership skills. Now, even before I finished the MBA, I had that higher paying position because I focused on those skills. Then I had the MBA and it opened up new doors. So I'm going to tell you this. I would not do another master's degree as an architect. I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it at all. I wouldn't focus on it at all. I'd focus on either an MBA or focus on building your career, focusing on the skills that are going to build your career. But I wouldn't do another master's degree. Again, we're very strategic with what we use. We don't just pick degrees because we want to get a master's degree. I would never do that. We pick degrees that build careers. Business process control, that's the fast-paced and nowhere. Because the back-end positions are the lowest paying positions in the world. Here you got architecture, you're trying to enhance revenue or improve employee productivity. That's where the money is. Business process control is going to tank your career. It's going to show that you're something else. Innovation, they don't know how to teach innovation at universities. If they were innovators, they'd be having their own businesses, not working there. So I suggest either don't waste your time, save your $100,000 for school, and invest it in an executive coach and proper business training, or get an MBA. Save some money left over for an executive coach. Even I have an executive coach, and she is absolutely amazing. She's helped me for the last 20 years, and I'd like to help you too. And that's my recommendation. Chris, if you want to go to the next one. Des, you're working on studying for the SAP. If you don't get the SAP CO2 before November, would this still be valid in the interview? Yeah, it doesn't matter. It's the same content. Same thing. A couple things will change by a few percentages, but no, it doesn't matter. Wouldn't worry about it so much. Learn the cloud, Des. Be great at the cloud. Be great at all these things, and you will have a great career. So, same thing. Meet the new boss. Same as the old boss. When in doubt, just think of the Who song, and you're going to understand. You'll be in great shape. Chris, you want to bring in the next one? What can I build for my CV to stand out? Isaac, that's why I recommend you take our resume and CV workshop. We're going to show you exactly what needs to be on your resume, exactly what's going to teach you to make it stand out, exactly what is going to be like bait for hiring managers and recruiters to come to you. The things that you should not put in there because they will kill your interview chances. The things to put on your resume so that when you're in that interview, you guide the interviewer on the things that you're an expert on and hide your deficiencies. That's why we have this resume workshop. In 15 minutes, I can't tell you what needs to be in there, and that's why we've created a 4-hour session for this. But it's all about getting your resume read, lessons from advertisers, showing them that you are right for the job and not your competition. We will teach you this in this LinkedIn and resume workshop. And that's what we created. Craig Daniel bought the course a few weeks ago, but you have been busy with work, wondering how much time you have to access the contents. Craig, you can access the contents as long as you like. We never take anybody's access away. How long can you attend the live classes? Up to 1 year. How long can you use the systems for the lab? 16 weeks. How long do you have access to the contents? We never take it away. I want you getting hired. And the reason we don't take it away is the second reason. I've got a lot of students that graduate, meaning they got hired and they want to go back and refer to the contents. I don't ever want to take that away from people. I want to make sure my students have the best tools for the best careers. So you have no rush to worry about the contents, but please do the work, Craig. I hate to see people buy it and not do the work. So please do the work. I want you getting caught hired, caught promoted, or whatever your goal is. So no rush for you. Just please finish the work. And actually, I love that name. That name used to be James Bond, Daniel Craig, if you just flip it around. Shabani, Mike, 2 questions. What if someone can't afford to pay for the course? Is there an option for discounts or scholarships for your course? Unfortunately, we've taken a $50,000 course and brought it down to the cheapest price that we can actually do it and still run our business and continue to provide the services we do for our people. Therefore, unfortunately, there are no discounts. Our prices are clearly stated on the website We are fair by giving the same price to all people in every country in the world. We looked at the parts of the world that would have the hardest time buying our course, and we decided that we would make our price something that could be affordable in all of those parts of the world. And then we use that for the rest of the entire world. So kind of keep that in the back of your mind. That's exactly what we do. We have a payment plan where people can drop it into 3 payments. We also created the non-live version for the same reason, where people can access the same course but not participate in class by watching the class replays. And it's half price. It's called the basic program. But there's no way that we can potentially do discounts because we charge so little for our actual course compared to what we're at. We have 3 MBAs on staff, another person with a master's degree that does a lot of our work and helps make sure our students be successful, as well as 3 other incredible professionals that are there. So it costs a lot to hire that kind of staff. It costs a lot to use the kind of technology we use to make it not feel like you're watching somebody's PowerPoint slides with audio. I mean, right here, I'm streaming you right now on a $50,000+ streaming setup just to be able to make the video and audio look good, to answer questions in a manner that's going to feel right. So there's nothing else that we can do. We've got a basic program that's half price, and we've got a payment plan. But we have to be fair and charge one price for the entire world. How can you intern with your team you feel like help with providing people to get cloud hired? You come from a cloud computing background. The only way you can intern with our team is to actually take our course, and we create internships for our students. Internships, take a lot of time and effort and money to run. And just by being a student, we've created an internship for every student where they get to do work things and get experience. Many of my students are published authors. For example, we'll be releasing a book very soon for which many of my students contributed with, and it's going to be an incredible book. I recommend you sign up. 60 or 70 of my students, for example, collaborated in writing a book to help people pass the Certified Solution Architect Professional. We gave it away for free. One of my team can pop the link to that free book. And I do this intentionally to help my students get published, get known, and build their names and brands. But in order to do that, you have to be part of our training program. Bruce Ford, what are your thoughts on cloud architect careers with a focus on application architecture? Then you're not a cloud architect, you're an application architect. Are there any industry certs recognized for application architecture? Bruce, there's no such thing as an architecture certification. I know somebody tried to come up with this TOGAF thing, which nobody knows what that means. So this morning, one of my students who's now working as a cloud security architect says, hey, Mike, I spoke with a security company. Here's what they sent me. And he looked at it, and it's got all these little boxes, and each box has got a whole bunch of irrelevant nonsense in it. And he said, what do I do with this? I said, translate this into what I showed you and show it to the customer. And he's like, okay, got it. He's like, Mike, am I going to be dealing with a lot of this stuff? I said, yeah, everybody who got architecture certified is going to give you this irrelevant document that you're not going to have any idea what the heck it means. There's no such thing as a certification for real certification for architecture. Architecture is design, present, and sell. There's no certification where they interview you on your presentation skills. There's no interview when they ask you how to do a business case. There's no interview where they ask you to do an ROI model. There's no interview where you've got to go negotiate $1 billion deal. There's no interview on entertaining clients. These are the things that we architects do, Bruce. So if you want to be an application architect, you can. I personally don't recommend application architecture careers. I don't recommend any software development careers because there's an over surplus of software developers. Software development is a back-end system where things basically come so back-end software development is going to be outsourced to the cheapest parts of the world. It's already starting to be there. So I wouldn't be focused too much on application architecture. But if you are interested in applications and you loved it, focus on application architecture, but realize that has nothing to do with cloud architecture. It's a totally different skill. So you want to be an application architect? Great. Focus on application design, but it's still the same business acumen, the same leadership skills, the same scale skills, executive presence, emotional intelligence, all of that. because you're going to be designing, presenting, and selling applications. So understand the business. The business drives the applications. The business drives the cloud. The business drives every requirement. So I think the cloud architect career is about 10 times better. I've recently trained several application architects to become cloud architects because they earn more by far and they have much more career progression. But you got to do what you love. And if you love the application side of it, do it. It's great. But you got to do what you love. But it's a different career. Just keep that in the back of your mind. Colenso, I'm not saying I have the money, but the program is more than $800. In fact, because I almost registered for the 3-week program for $10,000, I saw Mike on YouTube. You can do it. Save for it. Okay, I understand. Yeah, so the program is worth far more than $800. I've now taken people out of programs where they spent $5, $10, $20, $35,000, and I'm not joking. I work with people that did master's degrees in cloud computing, and we had to train them to get them hired. Somebody took this $35,000 course that was supposed to help him level up and get a great tech job, and came out of that training program knowing absolutely zero. He actually came on our YouTube channel to try and advise everybody against spending $35,000 in a boot camp like that. I don't know which boot camp he was referring to. I just know he kept saying the words, took this course to help me level up. I don't know what that actually means. So there's that. But yeah, and he paid $35,000. We took somebody from a 2-year master's degree. We got this person trained and we got him a cloud architect job. Kind of keep that in the back of your mind. So yes, Collins, we work really hard to provide a very expensive premium product at the cheapest price we can afford, which is pretty much our cost plus whatever it takes to grow the business into something sustainable, to make sure we can change lives in every part of the world. Thank you, Collins. I'm thrilled to see you in class. And I'm going to do everything we can to change your life as well as all the people in the Go Cloud Careers family. Thank you so much for your kind words. Bruce Forrest. We actually went through this question. 2 different careers. Gamers, you're unemployed for 2 years now. I took a long rest because you was burned out from your previous work. I'm working for 6 years as a system and network admin in your previous role. Now you're looking for a job. Should I take your cloud course as a refresher? You've been out 2 years in an IT industry, and should I accept any cloud since I don't have experience? Gamers, here's the thing. You've been out for 2 years and you've done sysadmin work. That means, why are you out for 2 years? And I understand the answer, and it's sysadmin work. Now, when someone asks you about your absence, you can't say, I've been burned out. Now, you could say, I was looking for a career change, so I took some time off, took a course to become a cloud architect, and became a great one, and I can help you in your business, and then you'll have a great career. Now, our course would not be a refresher for you. Our course would be teaching you everything that you've never learned before. Like if you wanted to take a cloud architect, what a cloud architect does and what a network admin does or a sysadmin does aren't even related. A cloud architect is an executive. A sysadmin is the hands-on techie that does implementation. Totally different career. And you would need heavy training to get into something better. Now, here's the good news. You get out of sysadmin work and then become a cloud architect, you could be dealing with a 6-figure raise every year for the rest of your life. And here's the reason. So people ask me, Mike, should I become a sysadmin or do sysops? And I beg them not to. I always beg them not to. I say, you don't want to be the hardest working person in the world for the lowest pay in the world, because that's the job that's going to burn people out. Even last night when people are saying, how do I become a sysops person? And I say, I beg you not to. I strongly recommend you don't, because it's a job where you're going to work critically hard. So I think you need to take a cloud course to learn it, not as a refresher. To learn it, not as a fresher. Because admin work is not engineering work, and admin work is not architecture work either. So yes, I would recommend you take a course to learn it. I would recommend you take a course to get great at it. and I recommend you do something that's going to make you happy. But I would get some training. I definitely would get some training, especially because the sysadmins in a bad economy are they're going to be the first to get laid off, and they're going to be the hardest to get hired because of their back end people, which are an expense, versus an architect, which is a source of revenue. And more importantly, once you've quit because you're burned out, which a lot of people are, it's very hard to go back to the same job. Very hard to go back to the same job because now you're going to have to sell that. But take off time for a new career. Now you got a reason. Now you look like a super highly motivated person with lots of great opportunities. For someone who's not speaking Englishly fluent, are you recommending the architecture engineering from the point of a communication? So YouTube user, this is different. If English is your second language, guess what? Then it's okay to not have perfect English. When I say to somebody and they come over to my house and I say, open the lights, I mean turn them on. Now, my American friends look at me like, huh, Mike? What are you talking about? Because I'm thinking in Greek where we say anexotophos, which means turn on the lights, or klisotophos, which means close the lights, which means set them off. So anytime you've got a accent or imperfect English because you are a foreigner, totally acceptable. And we look at it as a rule as, wow, this person's doing this good in the language that's not even the primary one. There, you're good. Now, if you were born in, say, Philadelphia, America, and then you couldn't put a sentence together, well, that's kind of not good for you. But when you're dealing with cultures and you come from other countries, we're dealing with people that speak multiple languages. Totally acceptable. So the key is, which would you make you happier? Architecture, engineering. Either one is good. Either one is good. And here's the reality, YouTube user. We all have an accent. If I told you that if you go to BBC, British Broadcasting America TV, they actually put subtitles because the Americans struggle with the English person's accent, it's crazy to me. And when I go to England, I have an accent. When I go to Canada, I also have an accent. When I go to Australia, I have an accent. So just be you, and you'll be good to go. English as a second language is different than poor grammar. Let's bring in the next one. I think we've got a couple more in a short period of time. John Daniel. Zero trust and governance. I know you cover this in the course, but just curious on some fundamentals you might be briefly to spare here for an aspiring subscription architect. Here's the thing. This is a career session. And on career sessions, we don't talk about how to do tech things. We address career questions. So you can attend our course to learn how we would actually do these things, or you can attend training sessions, which we do when we do them for free that are based on tech. But this is how do you build a career, not how to deal with tech. But I will tell you this. Those bunless hamburgers last night were actually quite good. My cat even shared them with me. She jumped up on the table, was a little embarrassed, and took some food, ran into the corner, and ate it. And she liked it as much as I did. So it was very good, and thank you so much. Okay, this is the last one I think I should be able to do. Sorry, repeated question. You're trying to understand the difference between our live classes and recorded classes. Okay, I'm going to make this real simple. In the live classes, you get to talk. You get to participate in class. In the recorded classes, you get to watch the recording of the previous classes. So what are you missing? You're missing the opportunity to participate live. You miss the opportunity to get us to practice interview you in class. You'll miss the opportunity for you to present and sell your solutions and designs back to us. You'll lose the opportunity to participate in big thing projects that we do, like creating content courses and books, etc. So those are the kind of things. But you will still get the same training. But you'll have less opportunities for the communication skills practice, less opportunities for live architecture practice. But you will still get the work that you need to be able to be hireable. But you lose the live interaction with me in class. Because I teach the architecture class for the most part. And I get to coach my students in class. So you're going to miss a lot of the guidance. I mean, you'll get to watch the classes and still get the guidance, but it'll be generic guidance. Whereas if you come to the class and ask a question specific to you, we can ask the answer specific to you in class. Now, you can still ask questions via Slack, and you'll still have an incredible experience no matter what. And you should be able to get hired no matter what. But it's that live class participation you won't have. You get to watch the live classes. You'll still get to learn from the live classes. It's just that I can't say, Sanjeev, could you explain to me how this network load balancer works in this situation, why we're using it? I won't be able to ask you that question and see how you respond and make sure that you do it perfectly and tune you along the way. So those are the things that I can't do if you're not in a live class. But no matter what, you're still going to do great. You're still going to learn a lot. You're going to still have incredible opportunities. And you should be able to get cloud hired in either case. But if you can be live, you will have a much richer experience. But even if you can, I've had plenty of people that have bought the course and not been able to come to the classes that are still getting hired by watching the videos and asking questions on Slack in between classes. Still happens all the time, and I know we can help get hired either way. But that is a truly, truly great question. Abigail Marks, cloud hired. Good to see you this morning. Hope Noni is also doing well. Mr. Gee, cloud hired. Bruce Ford, cloud hired. Actually, everybody give me a cloud hired, please. Thanks a ton for sharing your knowledge. Sanjeev, you are more than welcome. That's why we're here, to really help people build their best careers. So I'm going to end on this. Join us for the free How to Get Your First Cloud Engineer webinar if you desire to be a cloud engineer, or tell a friend tomorrow, and it's going to be fun, 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 fun. On Friday, register for the completely free practice interview session, completely free. If you want to be a cloud architect, I strongly recommend you take our Cloud Architect Career Development Program. If you want to be a cloud engineer, I strongly recommend you take our Cloud Engineer Career Development Program. And guess what? All we want to do is get you cloud hired. So hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll be back tomorrow on the How to Get Your First Cloud Engineer Job webinar. Friday, I'll be back to answering questions in the morning. And then after that, we will be, I think I'm doing that in the morning. And then after that, we're going to have a fun interview webinar. So I'll be interviewing people, and you get to learn how to interview. You can participate, all kinds of exciting things coming your way. So thank you so much for joining us this morning, and I look forward to seeing you in another session.